Happy World Burlesque Day. For today's video, it's going to be a little different. Not going to have a dance move, not going to have a dance combo. We're going to have some dance history. So I've got, in honor of World Burlesque Day, my top hat, my feather boa, and I'm going to uh, cover just a smidgen of burlesque history. In particular, how burlesque became born and in the United States. So originally, burlesque it can be traced all the way back to Greece. But today we're going to focus just on a little bit, just on how it came to be in America. So welcome. I am Amira, and I typically teach belly dance, but I love all other styles of dance, including burlesque. So here's a smidgen of history for you. So we're going to go all the way back to the birth of, let's say the mother of belly dance in America. So in 1868, there was an all-female performing troupe, Lydia Thompson's British Blondes. They landed in New York City and they made their debut. And you can kind of think of this as the burlesque version of the British invasion. These ladies were not just beautiful, not just talented. Their show was, a little bit of everything. There was parody, there was acting, there was comedy, and yes, of course, they wore flesh-colored costumes. Their shows sold out even at the upscale venues when the authorities made them lengthen their skirts by 2 whole inches. Yes. So Lydia Thompson, she was born Eliza Hodges Thompson in Great Britain in 1838. By the age of 14, she was already a professional dancer. Later, she became an actress and then, of course, a director. But as a teenager, she was chosen to partake in a 3-year European tour, and she was well received by everybody, all her audiences. So when she came back to England, at that point, she started performing in burlesque theaters all throughout London. So at the death of her first husband, she decided to really focus full time on her career. And then she remarried. So in 1868, with her second husband, she decided, I'm going to take this abroad. So she brought burlesque, her show, her, the best-selling show, to New York, and um, and adapted it for the middle class, because they had to take the songs that they already had and change the lyrics, change the humor to fit, what was going on in the States at the time. So they updated their repertoire, and they were a huge sensation from 1868 to 1869. From there, they traveled the US with their high class burlesque act. So after about 20 years between performing in England and performing in the United States, sales were starting to wane. The audiences were not coming in droves as they once were, because the audiences didn't want to see the comedy, the pantomime anymore. They were really drawn towards the more flesh of the carny shows. And this is due to what happened at the 1893 World's Fair. So you had Ferris wheel, there were carnival games, but there was also a midway that featured cultural exhibits from around the globe. One of these was what we would call belly dancers today, but these were ladies doing traditional Middle Eastern dance. To the uneducated who had never seen this before, I mean, these were traditional movements. These are highly skilled dancers. But the people that never had seen this before, they thought this was shocking, outrageous, or even obscene. And the men, of course, they found it more titillating than anything. And the women, seeing what, because this is Victorian times, where your collars had to be up to here, and your um, you couldn't show ankle, right? You had to be covered. You couldn't even say the word leg or arm. That was too scandalous. You had to say limb instead of leg. And even chair legs had to be covered with a skirt because it was too sensual, right? So this is the mindset. And imagine the shock. So the men are seeing these ladies that are, they're showing a bare midriff, they're showing their arms, and they're dancing around. And then the women are seeing this, they're seeing this as a chance to, this would be a break from the morals of Victorian times. They wouldn't have to be, covered from head to toe in, layers and layers and layers. So of course, this was the biggest attraction at the entire fair. And seizing on the opportunity for fame and fortune, there was a promoter, Saul Bloom. He decided to capitalize on this and make really focus on the more scandalous aspects of what we call Oriental dance. So the star dancer was a Little Egypt, who was born Fatima Mazar. But there were so many people that copied her and claimed they were the original Little Egypt. There could have been dozens, if not hundreds, of people that were essentially copycats. And they were all now doing what was called the hoochie coochie dance. So the costuming was also copied. And now this became the staple for the burlesque circuit, as well as carnival shows and even in movies. So there were others that wanted to get in on the action. Ziegfeld and his follies. He had, the beautiful, almost naked ladies, and there were promoters such as Billy Minsky, who put on comparable but more lower budget shows. And it went from there. So there's so much history to burlesque, even in the States. And that will be saved for another day. But I just wanted to give a little history as to the as far as belly dance coming to America and people really seeing it for the first time and what happened from there. So happy World Burlesque Day, and I will see you in the next one.